We are on Unit 5, Day 2, adding, subtracting polynomials. And our essential question is going to be, how do we add and subtract polynomials? Go ahead and take a moment to make sure you have this written down before we move on. And we're going to cover some vocabulary real quick. We're going to talk about a variable, and a variable is a letter used to represent the value that can be changed. The value varies or changes. Integers or constants are positive or negative whole numbers or zero. A coefficient, which is the number in front of the variable. Term is a variable and a coefficient put together, each unit. And power is an exponent of a variable. And like terms are terms that have the same variable and power. Like terms, we're going to talk a little bit more about, are terms whose variables and their exponents are the same. In other words, terms that are like each other. They have similarities, they are the same, they have things in common. Think of it that way. Like terms are terms that are in the same form and can be combined together to make one term. So as an example, we've got two triangles. It gives us just two triangles, right? Because they have similar, they're both triangles. Then we have a square and a triangle, but we can't combine these because one's a square, one's a triangle, so we have a square triangle. Versus when we have a square triangle, that's going to give us two square and two triangles, like so. The reason that we need to focus again on like terms is because when we're adding and subtracting polynomials, we're basically combining or working with like terms. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first example. And then just to let you know, you should be on this part of your notes right now. We've gone ahead and we've covered the terms, and we're going to be working on adding polynomials right here. So do make sure you're on the right page. So when we are adding or subtracting polynomials, you can organize your problems either horizontally or vertically. So here we have an example of the horizontal, and here we have an example of the vertical. I do want to point out that anytime that you work with these, you do need to make sure that they are in standard form. They need to be from greater to smaller, and your constants will always be to the far right, as you can see here. These are both in standard form. So if we go ahead and we take a look at the horizontal method, we're going to look for all of our similar terms. X squared only is by itself, where x has 2, and then we have 2 5s. So we're going to combine all that together to get x squared plus 2x plus 10. Now that's pretty easy, and if you do the horizontal method, it's still pretty easy because we've got 5 plus 5 is 10, we have 2x here, and then we're just going to drop down the x squared, like so. Whichever way you decide to do, that's fine. Just pick the one that works best for you. Do make sure that you are paying attention to the sign that is in front of each term. We're going to hammer that in the next few slides, so do pay attention to our terms. So subtracting polynomials. Subtracting polynomials is different because of this thing right here. Do you see the subtraction sign? Anytime you see a subtraction sign, we have to apply it to everything that follows it. So everything inside these parentheses right here is going to be affected by this sign, and I will show you. So we're going to distribute the negative, and it's going to be rewritten as minus 3x minus x plus 5. Do you see how this right here became a negative, and then the minus 5 became a plus 5? So once you get done doing that, you're going to identify your like terms like so, and then you're going to go ahead and combine them. So we should have a negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 1. And that makes sense because our negative 3x is bigger than negative 3x squared is bigger than the regular x squared, so we're just going to subtract that. It still leaves us with 2 negative x squared there. So we're going to go ahead and take a look here, and you can see the sign, so we're going to distribute it. So this becomes a negative, that becomes a negative, and that becomes a positive. So again, you're going to make sure that you combine these like so. And you do need to be familiar with how to add and subtract integers. So if you're struggling with this, let me know and we can recover that for you. So you do need to make sure to use the opposite sign in the second polynomial. So I want you to notice that we only use this subtraction sign in this polynomial. We did not apply it to the one that came before it. So never ever take your subtraction sign and apply it to the one in front, just the one that follows it. So let's go ahead and we'll do some examples. In your notes right now, you should be on this page right here. This is what we're going to start covering. So example 1, we I want you to pay attention. I want you to see how right here the first one is in standard, actually neither of these are in standard form. So I would tell you to rewrite them so they are in standard form. Do that with both of them before you go ahead and try and solve. Pause the video and then let's see how you did. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this and see how we did. So our answer should have been negative 2x to the 5th plus 10x to the 4th plus 5x plus 14. So again, if you had some trouble with that, please flag me down, let me come over and help you. Let's go ahead and take a look at the second one. I want you to see that there is a negative sign right here, and remember what I said about negative signs, that we have to distribute it to the one that follows it. So we are now going to make sure that that is applied to all of this, and it's going to be rewritten as regular 10 because there's no longer a negative sign. So this is 10a squared plus 11a to the 5th power and minus 9a. I want you also to pay attention. This is still not in standard form. This right here, the a to the 5th should be in front, and same thing over here. You need to make sure that these are in standard form. But when we go ahead and we combine them, we're going to be left with 5a to the 5th plus 23a to the 2nd minus 11a. Now we'll go ahead and move to example 2. Same thing. I want you to see that neither of these are in standard form. Please rewrite them in standard form. And when you are done doing that, I need you to go ahead and apply this negative to everything that is inside the second parenthesis. So do that now. And you should have something that looks roughly like this. So this became a negative, that became a negative, and then this 7 became a positive. Again, negative times negative is positive. When we combine them together, we get negative 14n to the 4th plus 7n squared plus 8n plus 7. And I want you to see how it says start with the biggest exponent. This goes back to the standard form. These always need to be in standard form. We'll go ahead and take a look at the second one, where we're going to be adding all of these terms with these terms over here. Do pay attention that this x is negative, and we will combine them together to get 18x to the 5th plus 6x to the 4th plus 12x to the 3rd. Alright, our third example, she says to do it on your own, but we're going to do it together anyway. So again, I have this polynomial right here, and this is in standard form, so this makes me a very happy Miss Trice. The second one, however, is not in standard form, so I'm going back to being grumpy about this. Do please make sure that you do rewrite these. And because this subtraction sign right here, we're going to apply it to everything that was on the inside, and we're going to rewrite it like so. So it should be plus 11n minus 2 plus 14n squared. And when we combine all this together, we get 7n to the 2nd plus 19n minus 6. And for our last example down here, let's take a look. Still not in standard form. The 6k to the 4th should be in front of this one, and let's see, yeah, if we just took this minus 14 and just put it into the back, this would be standard form. But we're going to go ahead and take a look. Our sign is positive, so none of these in this polynomial are actually going to change. So we'll go ahead and combine like terms. So we're going to go ahead and combine all this together, and we should get 2k to the 4th minus 10k to the 2nd minus 7k minus 14. So in summary, pretty much how do we add and subtract polynomials? I'd like you in your notes to make sure that you answer these questions by responding with 2 sentences. And I've told you a couple of different ways how to do this. We were definitely paying attention to like terms, and we are definitely paying attention to signs, so that should be part of your answer.